something you don't know. Trouble coming to your home. Wake up and you're all alone. I know something you don't know. I know why you're on the phone late night when you're feeling low. I know why you're in the mud. I know why it's in your blood. I know who your master is. I know when he calls it quits, you'll be in a Chinese restaurant over ice with the mud still slipping out. I know something you don't know. Wake up and you're all alone. I know something you don't know. Hey, how you doing? Devin here from Light and Lessons. Going to teach you how to play Mud by Alex G. Got a request here in a comment, so let's check it out. First of all, there's only 3 chords. The hardest thing is going to be the tuning if you want to play along with the recording. At the end of the video, I'll show you how to play it not in this different tuning if that's something you don't want to deal with. So first things first, what is the tuning, right? We have C, G, C, G, C, E, okay? So that's called open C tuning, all right? So just for like a little bit of a demonstration, basically what you would be doing is if you were in standard tuning, which I can like really quickly do for you, just so you can see what it's like to go back and forth. I'm looking at a tuner right here, which is something I might recommend you kind of try out as opposed to just trying to do it without. I'm gonna get it like close enough. So it's kind of close enough as standard, right? A little bit off. But what you're gonna do if you're gonna do that tuning, which again is C, G, C, G, C, E, it's gonna be, everything's gonna go down. You're gonna tune each string down, but you're gonna tune up the B string, which is a little bit different. So tuning your E down to C is gonna sound like this, right? You have to like go for it. Below D, if you've done drop D before, it's all the way down past C sharp, you're gonna get to C, right? It's really gonna flop for some guitars. So it's about C. From the A string's gonna go down a whole step to G, right? Because below a whole step of A is G. So you're all the way down there to G. What did I say? C, G, C? Yes. So that D goes down to C as well. And then the G stays the same. B goes up 1/2 step to C, right? Because there's only 1/2 step between B and C. That's the scariest part. And the E stays the same, okay? So you're gonna get a sound like that, right? You might need to double tune quite a few, it might be a couple of times, right? Strings, when you tune them, they're not always gonna be just like fixed. It's gonna like, settle over time. So anyway, you're gonna get something like this. Once you get into that tuning, that's way the hardest part. The thing after that is really only 3 chords, and each chord has the same shape, okay? So you're here, right? I'm using finger 2 and finger 3. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. So, like this, right? I'm on the 5th fret, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finger 2 here, 5th fret on what was the E string. I'll just call them by numbers now. String 6. And string 5, right? And that's really it. Okay? And so that's going to be the same shape you use for each chord. You have there, 5th fret, 7th fret, 2nd fret. Okay? And that's the whole thing, right? So you can let some of the open strings ring out. For some parts, by listening to it, you can see there's kind of like a focus on the lower stuff, and then sometimes there's a little bit of the letting the higher strings ring out, right? So let's talk about number of times to hit each chord, and then we'll talk about kind of strumming patterns, right? So it's really just eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so if I'm starting here on the 5th fret, it's kind of like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. Okay, so what happened there? You had a whole measure on the 5th fret. What does that mean, a whole measure? In this case, it means 4 beats. And in 4 beats, we're splitting that in eighth notes. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? That's going to be for this one on the 5th fret. When you go over to the 7th fret here, you're just doing 1 and 2 and then here on the 2nd fret, 3 and 4 and. So you might call that like a half measure each or 2 beats each, right? So real slow again, just so you can see how it goes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? So that's kind of actually combined the chords and the strumming, really. So I'll play it at full speed so you hear what it sounds like. Feel free to pause the video, rewind, slow it down. If you don't already know, you can hit that little gear icon on YouTube and you can do playback speed, you can do half speed. It'll say like 0.5 or 3/4 speed, it'll say 0.75. There's even a custom slider to get it in exactly the speed you want. If you want to go over that and just strum along with me slower, okay? So, I mean, that's really the majority of the song. The harder thing is maybe like, you know, learning the words and learning how to sing the words, which notes you're singing and the rhythm of the singing. I don't think I'm going to go into all of that, but I will say at least for starting the singing, it doesn't start like right at the beginning of a chord, which is maybe going to be confusing for some people. It kind of gave me a pause to kind of figure it out. So we got, I know something you don't know. So it kind of, something you know. Let's see what number are we at. So it's like 2 and 3 and I know, like that. So after right about like beat 3 or the and after 3 is when you start singing. So if you're playing the intro, you have to keep that in mind when you're going to start singing. If I was going to start maybe on the next one here, it's not I know something you don't know. It's a little bit later than that, so it's 2 and 3 and I know, like that. Something you don't know. And like you can test if you're on the right spot with the hard emphasis comes when you come back to this 5th fret again. And that's sort of like the circular nature of the chord progression, is that you're coming around and you're hitting that stronger part of the singing back on the 5th fret again, and then you're starting it again, so in a little circle. That's kind of about it for really that. I mean, let me think if there's anything else to go over. Something you don't know, trouble coming to your home, wake up, and you're all alone, I know, something you don't know. So once you get that rhythm down with where it hits with the chords and the notes down with how to sing it, the only part that differs is the Chinese restaurant. So when you get to that part, who your master is, I know, when he calls it quits, you'll be in a Chinese restaurant over ice with the mud blood still dripping out. So there's like a different rhythm for the singing there. Hopefully that's clear enough with what to do. The main thing is the chords, right? Just those two fingers on the 5th fret, 7th fret, and the 2nd fret, and the tuning, okay? So now I mentioned I'll show you a different way to do it. I've watched like a live video of him playing at like a Rough Trade in New York City, and he's just doing drop D, okay? So I'm gonna go back up to standard for you real quick, just to show you what that would look like. You know, you might already know drop D and everything like that, but you'll have to just calculate what the different frets would be, right? Turn the wrong tuning peg. That happens to all of us. Oh yeah, that didn't need to be tuned. So if we're here in standard, just double checking it. To drop D, you might already know this, so you probably would have skipped this already, but if you want to check it out, there's a couple of different ways. You could just use a tuner and then just like look at your tuner like I have on this guitar. And there it is, the D's match. That's the other thing. D's will match. Those will sound good, or you can use harmonic right there to match that even to the same octave as opposed to hearing 2 octaves apart. So that'll match this open D string, right? Other people might put their finger on the 7th fret of the low of the 6th string, and that'll match. So you got 3 methods: tuner, matching, either, maybe it's 4 methods: the harmonic here, the open string, the open D string to the 6th string, or 7th fret on the 6th string to the A string over 5th string right there. Okay, so if you're doing that, you have to calculate. Okay, so if it was on the 5th fret and we were in C, now we're in D, right? So you can think of it as like 1 step higher. So to get that, we're going to actually be, let's see, how are we going to do that then? You know what? I think actually that the thing I'm remembering now is not, he didn't actually change it. He changes the key, so it keeps the frets the same, right? And that's another way to play it. But you're in a slightly different key at that point, right? Okay, so that about wraps that up. I realized what I was mentioning was that, you know, if you were going to keep it in the same key, you would have to bring things lower, right? But, so that would be like this. So apologies for the confusion on that. If you want it to be the same key and you're playing in drop D, you're going to move it down, right? Because the idea being that if you were in C and then you moved your string up to D, that's like moving it up 2 frets by tuning it, right? Then you're going to move what you're playing down 2 frets, right? So if you were on the 5th, 7th, and 2nd, you're going to be on the 3rd, 5th, and open, okay? So if you wanted to play along with the song, that's what it would sound like, right? But then when I'm remembering now, as I'm watching that video, he's just playing it in the same frets. But then he's just singing it higher. Okay, so if you notice, like when you watch a live video of him doing it like that, right, and he's playing it up there and it's in drop D, you can notice the singing is higher, right, for that reason. Anyways, a lot of details there. Hopefully there's something there for you to be able to play this song. I think it's a lot of fun to play. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks again for checking it out. If you want to check out my original music, my channel is called Gentle Return. I'm on the internet there most of the time, on Instagram as well, at Gentle Return. And then for all the guitar lesson videos that you want, I'm generally posting them here on the Lightning Lessons YouTube channel. Okay? So thanks so much for your support. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.